Welcome to a brand new week, and welcome to this week's Revitalise Meets, where I get the opportunity, the chance to meet with fellow connections and business entrepreneurs from across the globe and also across locally. And today and this week, I've got the great pleasure to be with a gentleman who is an award-winning author, a superstar coach, been helping many business owners by transforming not just them, but transforming their businesses across the country and also across the globe. Can you please welcome with me this week at Revitalise Meets, the one, yes, but as always, the only, Mr. Anurag Rai of Superhuman in You. Anurag, how are you?
I'm very well, Lee. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're more than welcome. So pleased. I've got your mental box to come along this week. So thank you very much for joining us. As always, part of this show once a week is to really take a deep dive into our business connections and find out why they started their business, but most importantly, a little bit about their business journey. Would you mind sharing with everybody who's watching and listening today a bit about your business journey so far?
Yeah. So whenever I like, whenever I tell my story, I like to start from the very beginning. And for me, the very beginning was in 2005 when I moved to UK. I came here with an ambition to open my own restaurant business, and I came here with £100 and few clothes. Knew no one in the country, and obviously I had to save up some money before I could open a restaurant. So initially, it was just trying to find a job. My first job was in McDonald's. I worked there. In 6 months, I was promoted to be a manager, and then I worked in literally any fast food restaurant you can think of on High Street to gain that experience and save up some money. And then in 2011, I managed to open my restaurant, which was an Indian restaurant in Edinburgh, and the restaurant was doing great. Within 6 months, I had about 10 staff working for me, and we were very profitable. I was thinking about buying my next restaurant. But then a series of events happened, which I won't get into much deeper detail, but just to give you a brief idea, one of my chefs kind of cheated me in a way, for lack of a better word, and they took some money from me, took some money from the bank account. What happened during that week also is we had a visit from EHO. So the lady from the council came in to visit. We were a new restaurant, and she found some issues with the wiring of the restaurant. So again, a lesson there that especially for people who are starting new businesses, is cutting cost is good, but you need to make sure that you're doing the right things. So what I did was, I was still young, learning. So when I took over the restaurant, I cut some costs by saving the money on the service. If I had done the right survey, I would have known that there was an issue with the wiring. So the lady from the council shut us down. Said, you can only open once you get this fixed, so that's safe to operate. Usually it would be okay. I would have money in the bank, but because the same week this guy had done all this and I had literally no money, he took all the money from the bank by forging my signatures on the checkbook. So now I have no money in the bank and no incoming because the restaurant was shut. And just when I was trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? At that time, I was still on visa, so no recourse to public funds and literally no help. And I already borrowed from the bank, so there was no extra funds available. And because I was on visa, closing the restaurant was not an option because my visa was based on the restaurant. So I was still trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? Obviously, having sleepless nights and all that. And then something else happened. So somebody must have noticed that the restaurant is shut. And because I was having this issue with the bank because of this guy who managed to get access from my bank, so I wasn't depositing any more money in the bank. So I was keeping all the cash in the restaurant. And this person who had noticed that the restaurant was shut, they broke in and they took all the cash. And at that time, obviously, it felt like, if you're in a kickboxing match and you knocked out and somebody comes and kicks you again. I can smile and talk about it now, but it was really painful at that time. So I had no money in the bank. I went from thinking about buying my next restaurants to kind of thinking about how am I going to pay my rent. And I decided to move out of my flat and move into the storeroom of my restaurant. And because the council cut the supply, it was a cold and dark place. So I spent about 4 days sitting in the storeroom, in the corner of the storeroom, and thinking to myself, why did this happen to me? And I was a big believer in karma. So you do good things happen. You do bad things happen. So in my head, it was constantly, okay, I must have done something really bad to deserve this. And the more I had that thought, guess what? More sad and depressed I got, because I was constantly thinking, okay, I was reflecting throughout my life, what bad things have I done to deserve this? And for nights, I stay in that cold and dark place, just thinking, asking the same question again and again: why me? Why me? Why me? But then on the fifth night, a new question came in my head. And this time, the question was not why me, but why not me? When bad things can happen to small kids in war zone countries, surely they haven't done any bad karma. Then why not me? And I think that thought shifted my perspective on how I was looking at things. And that thought led to the foundation of something that is the core of my coaching just now. And you will see those lines on my LinkedIn banner as well, that life is like a game that we cannot control. Sooner we accept this, better we play. And while we cannot control the game, we can all become a better player. And that was the first time I got to know the power of our thoughts, because if I continued asking why me, I would have been in a totally different place than I'm today. So when I started thinking, okay, what has happened, what do I do about it? How can I play the game better rather than trying to control the game? I asked for more help, managed to get some more money. For the next 1 year, I had to do a night job, so, while running the restaurant during the day to get that income coming. Managed to get the restaurant back up and running and in profit within a year, which was good. And then in 2014, my son was born, and that's when I decided, okay, restaurant career is not for me. I'll be working Christmas, I'll be working New Year, I'll be working weekends. I will never see him. So I decided to change careers. So I go to Google and I say, okay, Google, tell me, because I'm just starting a young family, so what's the most stable career in the UK? And the answer I got was accountant. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be an accountant. So I started studying accounting, but nothing would go in my head, obviously, because of all the long hours and damage I'd done to my body and brain, and obviously stress as well. So I knew, okay, I have to work on myself before I can learn something new. So the next 2 years I spent working on myself. I studied biohacking, studied meditation, studied neuroscience, NLP, basically every personal growth um, concept, idea, strategy, principle there is. I studied it and applied it on me. And what that did was I managed to finish a 3 year qualification in 9 months. And that's when my friends started noticing this. They're saying, man, how are you doing this? Like, you have a young family, so you're definitely not sleeping. And plus, you're still running a full time business and you're finishing this qualification in such a less time. And they would jokingly start calling me, you're a superhuman. And that's when the name of the company came into my head. Okay, well, superhuman. Yes, I've got something to share. So maybe it could be superhuman in you. So I registered a domain called superhumaninyu.com. Initially, I was just blogging on it. Then I started working for a big four accounting firm. I worked for them for some time. And then it was in 2020 lockdown when I thought, okay, I've got some extra time now. Maybe I should write a book to share some of the things that have helped me. And one of the things that helped me most was meditation. And I always used to think, okay, all the entrepreneurs, all the business owners, all the senior leaders I see, their biggest challenge is stress, which is reducing their productivity. So why more people are not meditating? Is free. And there's hundreds of benefits of meditation. And then I realized, okay, the reason why people are not meditating is because they've got this flawed concept of meditation. They think that meditation is sitting down on a mat and saying, brain, quiet down, and brain will quiet down. They try it for 3-4 days, maybe a week, and it doesn't work, as it shouldn't. So, so they give up. What they don't realize is that model of meditation is for the monks who live in mountains. We have families to look after, deadlines to meet. So that model is not relevant. And that's what inspired me to write my first book, The Power Within. You probably see it in the background,
Yeah.
which introduces 21 different ways to meditate. And the book went on to be a US Amazon bestseller. And more people started approaching me after reading that book to find more about me, and especially friends and family, because they've seen all my journey. Came here with 100 pounds, built something, lost everything, then built it again. So they say, okay, can you help us? And they started asking advice, and that's when I started doing unofficial coaching, so informal advice, and they got results. I enjoyed it. So in December 2020, I took the plunge and left my comfortable corporate job to become a full-time coach, and here I am, loving it.
What a story as well, from rags to riches type of feel to it all as well. And it's so inspiring, Anurag, because I've gotten to know you quite well over the last, well, nearly over the last 12 months, really,
Mhm.
and more. But absolute testament to yourself there. That's a perfect story of picking yourself up, brushing yourself down, and
Mhm.
thinking, okay, I'm going to make this happen, and it's going to happen now. So, really
Yeah.
well done. Thank you for sharing that story, and we'll find out more as we go on through today as well. But we talk about challenges, right? And I guess, you know, the biggest challenge that you've had maybe in the last couple of years from going from an accountant into being a successful coach and
Mhm.
an author, is there anything the last sort of coming out of lockdown, out of sort of COVID times, has there been a challenge that you've overcome in that time as well?
Yes. So my constant challenge was, because I was, accounting is totally different to coaching. A lot of people, what they do is, before becoming a coach, they would go through these qualifications which will train them, okay, this is what you need to do in order to be a successful coach, or whatever. Some people have psychology background, or whatever that thing is, the training side of things. I became a coach first, and then I got got and did all the training, because I had clients from day one, and my strength was the experience I bring in to the coaching. So that was a bit of challenge initially, especially, obviously, I started my business in lockdown, so initially it was just online. Another challenge was, none of my roles required me to be at the forefront, so not a public speaker, and that was a big challenge for me, because I come from a family where discipline is on a higher priority than self-expression.
Yeah.
So standing in front of public and talking was very challenging for me, especially in the start. And when I say public, I say three or more people.
Mm.
So so that was one challenge that I had to overcome. And one thing that really helped me is, again, like, so coaching myself, and obviously I have a coach who I work with as well. And this shift in thinking that helped me, and it came through self-reflection, actually. And I think the most powerful lessons we learn from self-reflection, and that's why in my coaching session I always ask my clients to not hear what I say, but see what they're thinking. So hear to their inner thoughts, their insights. So that the insight that changed for me is, everything is in my thinking. So what I think, you think, is my thinking, not yours.
Yeah.
So when I'm standing here, sitting, talking to three people, and thinking, okay, if I've made this mistake, what they will think, I would never know what they think. What I'm actually worried is about what I think about their thinking. So I think, that really, and the second is important distinction that I want to make, for especially people who have similar kind of challenges, is
Mm.
there's a difference between self confidence and self esteem. So we cannot build confidence like magically. Confidence only comes from after taking imperfect actions over a period of time.
Mm.
Self-esteem, that comes from within. So that's our inner dialogue. That's what we can change from the very beginning. Whereas confidence, don't try to build the confidence on day one. Accept that you will fail, accept that you will make mistakes, and slowly you will be confident.
Well, you're a perfect testament in regards. It's not about making mistakes. It's about trying something, and if you don't get it right, just keep trying again.
Yeah.
Try and correct it. It's like people talk about these failures. Well, just keep going and keep getting better at what you want to be better at, and keep that focus and drive. Um,
100%. That's
yeah,
how we learn to walk and talk.
yeah.
When we are small kids, we are walking. Nobody is counting how many times we fall.
I was
But
doing the exact same thing in my back garden yesterday with my little grandson.
yeah,
So as he's trying to find his feet, it's wonderful.
yes.
Um, you talked a little bit about the sort of virtually and online and lockdown, etc. Do you find now that you've sort of adapted your business to, because a lot of people are trying to get back to face,
Mhm.
but are you now feeling that your business is adapting both online and in person? Are you starting to bridge that gap?
Yes. So I was in slightly different position than most businesses. So most businesses, um, especially my clients or people who I work with, have been in business for a longer time. So they went from face to face to lockdown, which was a struggle for them, and then now they're trying to get back to face to face. I started my business in lockdown. So online, my initial clients was I had nobody in Aberdeen, so everybody was only online. So the first phase that I had to adjust to or adapt to is going from virtual to face to face. And that's when I got my office and started a bit more networking. That really helped. So yes, you're right. At this point, I think all businesses should have that hybrid option, because if my clients are not working in an office 3 days a week, then I should have that online option for when they need. So yes, I have both. And especially my clients are 50-50. So 50% of clients are local, but 50% are outside the area. So having that online option obviously helps.
Yeah, I think the online option is such an important ingredient now for business owners who, a lot of people have created their own business in lockdown because they were put in that position.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have come back into in person now, but they're now finding the benefits of, as I've said many times, is
Hmm.
that we've opened up the borders completely. The barriers have been opened up completely for over the pond and Europe and many other places. And the element of travel, to click a button to jump online, you boom, you're in the room with somebody straight away. I mean,
Yeah.
I was chatting to somebody last week from South Carolina, and then the next day I'm speaking to somebody in Ireland. It's
Hmm.
for that quick time to speak to people. It's so
Yes.
important.
100% agree.
Sorry, but going from sort of virtual and looking at how you've sort of embraced that sort of the virtual network now, we talk about golden top 3 tips for advice. And I was wondering if you could share with the audience today a little bit about those golden top 3 tips about transforming their business, transforming themselves, as you
Hmm.
say, the
Yeah.
superhuman person. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to them today?
Yeah. So the advice that I have is not very conventional. And so the problem today, we live in an artificially intelligent world. Problem is not information. The problem is something deeper. So we can go to ChatGPT and ask, okay, what is act like a business coach and give me advice. It will come up with some sort of advice. But taking that advice and creating something unique from it and then implementing it is where businesses need to work on, and that's where the real transformation will come. So my first tip is measure effort and effectiveness. What happens is there are two kinds of people. There are hustlers and there are dreamers. So the hustlers would focus only on effort. So they think, okay, so and so guru, let's say Gary Vaynerchuk has said, you have to post these many times online, right? So they take this and they keep posting for years. Just keep posting without thinking if that's getting them any result. And then there's other type of people who are dreamers who think, okay, well, that's not going to for my business. Without trying it, they're just thinking, they're just disregarding the ideas. So what I suggest you should have is you should have an effort goal and effectiveness goal. So let's say you come through a really good piece of advice and you say, okay, I'm going to try this in my business. Don't just try it for a week. Give it some time. Try it for, let's say, 3 months. And for 3 months, have the goal. So if it's reaching out to people, have the goal that I'm going to reach out to 10 people every week. And only when you have met your effort goals continuously for 3 months, that's when you're in position to measure whether it's been effective or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
And same goes for the effectiveness goals. Don't just keep doing something so don't take other people's description as your prescription. So don't just keep doing something because somebody said so without thinking, okay, whether it's working for me or not.
Love that. I really
Mhm.
love that. I like the way it's the hustler versus the dreamers.
Yes.
And I think what's so important as well is like the effort, and then sort of measuring that effort, measuring that effectiveness.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
there's so many people out there, especially in business professionals that we've spoken to over the past sort of 18 months,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, I will say it, right? Many people may not even measure what their effectiveness is
Hmm.
in their efforts that they're doing, either in person, going out to networking events, or going and public speaking on stage to 300 people, or even just running their business on a day by day basis. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Hmm. Hmm. 100%.
Yeah, there's
100%.
so many people out there who just don't do that side of it.
Yeah.
Um, carry
So,
on.
so my second, we'll move on to my second tip, if
Yeah,
that's okay. So my second tip was, your income is directly proportional to the value you deliver. And that's very relevant to all the coaches, consultants, and service business out there. So I have one day every week. So usually it's the Wednesday. I have it blocked to continuous learning myself and developing myself. Because the more valuable I am, the more value I can deliver. So having that time to constantly improving the value. So if you're not getting the income that you want to get, focus on how much value are you delivering. I like this quote from Warren Buffett, who says that price is what you pay, value is what you get. So if we want to be more valuable, we need to increase what our clients are getting from us, and the income will be just it will be taken care of.
I like that one as the second point. Great learning and development. I think,
Mhm.
again, just to add my little half penny's worth to that as well, right? It's
Mhm.
nice actually going through these 3 steps with you as well, Anurag, is that the second one is, we were talking about that this morning in a weekly call, is taking
Mhm.
time out for yourself. And I think a lot of people having that personal development, either reading a book or picking out a day in the week that you can
Yeah.
just literally delve into your self-learning,
Mhm.
delve into you making sure that you're sort of improving you, but
Yeah.
also improving the value that you offer to other people around you in
Yeah.
that sphere. Great
Yeah.
points there. So come
Yeah.
on, what's your third one then, Anurag?
So the third one is, again, I will quote Gary Vee. So he says something that you should give before you ask. So you should give at least 3 times before you ask. I say give until you receive.
Yeah.
So if sometimes people don't take it the way I want them to take it, so I'll add a disclaimer to it. So I totally believe you cannot outgive the universe. But the reason why people struggle with giving is because they're not giving with boundaries.
Mm.
So give until you receive, but give with boundaries. So this is how much I'm willing to give, and then give that much. If you get something, good, but if not, then that's who you are. You're showing up from who you are, and you're a giver. So you're giving it. If we continue that approach, even if we don't receive, and that has served me really well, even if you don't receive something, that person is now a positive brand ambassador of your business, and they're going to go and tell other people about what you're doing.
Again, I like that. I do
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I think it's so true because, you know, I have a law of abundance, and that was
Mm-hmm.
drilled into me when I first sort of created my own business by a few coaches, and one coach of mine that I met back in the early days of when I was just sort of creating my journey, meeting people, starting to network a lot more. And that law of abundance has served really well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
never expect to get something back, but you might get something back later because there's a percentage of people out there that will give back from what you've
Mm-hmm.
been passing on to them
Yeah.
at some point. You
Yeah.
know, as we always talk about, it's common courtesy to say please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's common courtesy to say thank you if someone's given you their time, which is
Mm-hmm.
valuable. You
Mm-hmm.
know, part of their business, their services exchanged, etc. It's so much more, and I think it's such a the give 3 times and receive. I think it's right to have that sort of like that open abundance to
Mm-hmm.
give to somebody. But I do appreciate you saying I can give you that, but there's a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I respect that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do respect that. I think sometimes you can give too much and people will take it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Such good points there. Start from effort and effectiveness. Second one, learning and development, taking time to improve you and your value. And thirdly, but most importantly, is looking at the give element of having a boundary, give, and you'll receive at some point along that journey as well. Thanks, Anurag. Some good pointers there. Thank you very much. Hope people took note of those ones and put them in action this week, if we can. And if you want any more pointers, you can ask a question if you feel appropriate. If you are joining us on LinkedIn and watching this, please feel free to leave a comment or anything on YouTube, on the YouTube channel for Revitalise Connected People as well. Myself and Anurag will get back to you as quick as possible, or I might even answer it in this session this week. You never know. A great one to follow on to with that one, Anurag, right? And thank you for sharing your top 3 tips. Is we've talked a little bit about self-reflection already. And you mentioned you have a coach that works with you.
Yeah.
So we talk about training, but self-reflection. How long have you had a coach working with you as a coach? Was that when you started as a coach, did you have somebody involved in that?
Yes. So I am someone who believes in the power of coaching.
Yeah.
And coaching is not teaching. So I remind powerful people how powerful they really are and get them to step into that power. So it's not teaching. And because I believe in the power of coaching, it makes sense that I have a coach for myself as well. So some of the recent self-reflections I've had, the first one is, and I say recent, it's been 2 years since I've been really sharing it with people, but also practicing it, is who you're being is far more important than what you're doing.
Yeah.
So people look at somebody and they would say, okay, this person has done so many these things. So if I copy that, I should also get the result that they got. But they don't. And the reason is because what they're saying is only what the other person is doing. What they're not saying is who the other person is being. So if there were 10 people in this room, I gave everybody the exact same recipe and the exact same ingredients to make a vegetable soup, we won't have the same vegetable soups. And that's the difference between doing and being. So who am I being? Who do I need to be in order to get to where I want to be? So something that I also talk about is having a to-be list. So if where you are just now is island A and where you want to be is island B, what do you need to do in order to get from A to B? But also, who do you need to be in order to get from A to B? So
you come out with some golden nuggets galore here today, man. This is a treasure trove from Anurag. So
thank you. I appreciate that. So that's the second learning that I have. Again, I've got 3 learnings to share. The second learnings I have is learn to love the process. So I do a lot of work with startups just now with Business Gateway. So in my recent workshop, somebody said, okay, well, I know that I need to, so there was talk about, I need to do what I love. And I just kind of nudged them to understand that, okay, you need to do what you love, but there will always be things about what you love that you won't love. So learning to love is a very important skill. And then sometimes when I say to my clients who are really passionate when they started the business, but after some time they've lost that passion. When I say to them, okay, well, there's some of the things that you just need to learn to love, they kind of push me back on it. Because we have that open conversation in our coaching sessions. They can push me back anytime they want. So they say, how can I learn to love something that I don't love? And I say, when you were a kid, you did not love vegetables. You learned to love vegetables because you knew it is good for you. And that's how you learn to love. Whatever we think we love is just a programming in our brain. We just need to reprogram it by constantly reminding us, okay, why do I need to love this? And just sometimes it's just about repeating to ourselves, no, I love this.
Educate and learning yourself at the same time. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So learn to love the process. That's the second learning that I've learned while running my business in 3 years. And the last one is the power of appreciation. And we say no matter what business we are in, 100% of our customers are people, 100% of our employees are people. So we are in the business of people. And the most effective way to build those relationships is appreciate things. A lot of people are walking around today with negative, like overdrawn emotional bank accounts. Stephen Covey talks about emotional bank account in his book. So the one of the most powerful thing we can do to build that relation is putting deposits in that bank account, creating that rapport.
Love that. It's again, I think there's some great pointers there to have as well. And if you are watching this, please watch them back as well. We'll share them later on as well. And no doubt, Mr. Anurag Rai will be taking snippets of this as well and using it later on as content. But there's some great pointers there to be had. And one of the things I wanted to ask you as well today, we talked about those sort of 3 key areas you just mentioned there.
Mm-hmm.
Is you've got a lot of books behind you. You've wrote books.
Mm-hmm.
What's the book you're reading at the moment? Business orientated or just helping you, personal development? What's the most recent book you've got that you're reading yourself?
So I'm at the moment I'm reading Start with Why, and I'm rereading it. So because I'm doing some work on leadership, so I'm rereading Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I think that's a great book. And I am writing my next book as well, which is coming out in September, and that's on leadership, obviously, and that is Leading with HQ, Human Quotient. And I'm introducing a really powerful model to lead just now, because something that we miss is again what we were talking about before, building that connection with people. A leader is somebody who needs to empower people and not tell people. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, to lead them you got to empower them, to lead them you got to inspire them, and I think that's so important. You keep us in mind with that book. I look forward to seeing that when it comes out. When do you think that's going to be ready by, your book?
By September.
By September.
Yes.
Wow, turn around quickly on that one for us.
Yes.
Anurag, great to have many people watching us today. We've got David Wright from Secure Store who's just joined us as well. Thanks for joining us, David. Hopefully we'll see you this Wednesday for the Aberdeen local branch at Waterloo Quay. But for everybody who's watching and listening today, Anurag, how can they make contact with you? Can they book a time in to meet you to start with, or is it just virtually or in person?
Yes. So if I have space in my calendar, definitely I'm always open to meeting people, having one-to-ones. And as I said, I practice what I preach. So give. So if there's any way I can help you, I'm always open and up for that. My business is driven by just one mission, and that is to positively impact 1 billion lives. And that's I'm always just trying to move forward for that. So in order to connect with me, you can send me a message directly on LinkedIn. If you're listening to this on LinkedIn, connect with me. Facebook, Instagram, you can find me. You can also send me an email on anurag.rai@superhumaninu.com to book a short meeting with me. You can also go on my profile, and there's a link which you can use to directly book a meeting with me.
Brilliant. And one last thing I've just switched it around here slightly. What's next for you? What's around the corner? We've got the book in September, but what else is next for you?
Yeah, so I'm in a fortunate position where my one-to-one coaching side of the business is at full capacity with 2 people in the waiting list. So that's really good. What I want to do more of is work with companies to deliver workshops. So I have another business, which is very new just now, which is Amwell Academy. And through this business, I aim to work with small, medium, and large businesses who got some employees to help improve team communication, cooperation, mental health, leadership, and performance.
Absolutely superb. Mm-hmm. Lots of things going on for you, Anurag, and I wish you all the very success that you deserve from everything that you're doing. And you are the hustling business person. So you are hustling to get things working for you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening to us today. You can find more news on this by following the LinkedIn page, and you can also replay it back on the YouTube channel at Revitalise Connecting People. Please subscribe to the channel, as there's many more interviews coming up in the schedule. Next week on Monday, I've got the great pleasure to be welcoming along Richard Hagan from Empower Publishing. We're going to be really delving into a topic that he's passionate about, and about what he does in his business and for many, many connections locally and globally. But for myself and from Anurag, I wish you all the very best for the week that is ahead. We look forward to seeing you online and again, seeing you at Revitalise Meets over the coming weeks. But Anurag, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And thank you to you all for joining us this week. As we said, happy connecting and have a great week ahead. We'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye for now.